There you go. So that's recording. Just ignore that. So I mean, I guess it would be really good to find out a little bit more about what EMDR actually is, because doesn't it stand for eye movement desensitization reprocessing?
That's right.
Which whoosh, that went well over my head. So maybe you could help sort of for laymen like me in understanding a little bit more about it.
Basically, it's a process that another way of treating especially traumatized people. Yeah. So can you just stop it? So maybe it's better. Right.
So you use fingers. So how does that work? So what's the purpose of using the fingers?
Basically, the fingers is you follow the fingers. So basically,
how would you explain it to a client if you were going to offer them that? What would you tell the client this is?
So how I explain client, the brain stores all the traumatic experiences. While when we move them over, we have papers basically to read them as well, to keep them. Okay? Okay. So when they follow our fingers basically, so the brain starts amygdala starts working. So it helps to visit the traumatized events that.
So we store memories that are traumatic somewhere, and we can revisit them by following. So what's the purpose behind following the fingers? Is that
basically what is called? Now I'm a bit.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Maybe I can look at it. Maybe.
Yeah, please do.
My papers. So I can't find them now. Anyway, so I can basically our REM.
Yes.
This is REM.
REM cycle, like in dreaming.
Yeah. So what happens? It is a long process basically. So in the beginning we find a safe place, and then also we assess clients whether they are suitable for EMDR or not.
Okay.
Yeah, and then because EMDR is really like other approaches, so it's important that client involved in this and they accept all the.
Yeah. So what makes someone suitable for EMDR?
They are basically, first of all, they want to whatever they complain, for example, and they are ready to focus on the traumatic events.
So it's when we've got to the stage where they're ready to face that traumatic memory.
As you know, you may have heard of majority of our clients are traumatized, but they are not ready straight for the therapy. And also some of them, there are lots of ways. For example, I use pulsers, the machine. I can show you later.
Yeah, what's a machine?
If they can't follow my fingers.
Okay.
I'll show you later on. There are, for example, if they are on heavy medication, they are not.
They're not suitable.
No. Or if they are sort of psychotic, antipsychotic medication, we don't do that as well.
Okay.
So what else? I'm trying to remember. Some of them, we make a list of their traumatized experiences, and then you can see the link in between. You see,
okay.
And then if they want to, some of them are very clearly, clearly state that, you know, I want to get rid of, you know, the flashbacks on nightmares, everything.
Yeah.
And then, so we make a list basically, and then we ask them to start with, you know, like which traumatic experience do you want to start with.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they are not very clear. For example, they say I'm very anxious, you know, and I cannot sleep or stuff.
Yeah.
And what stop you sleeping, you know, like stuff. Maybe if I give you an example, it might.
Yeah, an example would be great. Yeah, please do.
Mm-hmm. But our clients' issues are very complex, you see.
Yeah.
So for example, in the beginning, I think that he may or she may be suitable for EMDR, but when we start, they say no, I don't like it, and I leave it.
Is that because why do they sort of change their mind? What's sort of the reasons for that? Do you know?
One of example that recently I felt that he would benefit from EMDR. He didn't like it in the beginning. He liked the safe place.
Okay.
But he didn't like the press because when I found it's a bit early.
Okay. So do you find like so you find a safe place first? Is that like a memory of somewhere where they were safe? Or is that like
memory?
A memory. So they find a memory that is safe and then a memory that is painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a bit complicated because EMDR is quite safe approach basically.
Okay.
But he felt that he may suffer pain. So.
Oh wow! What, like physical pain or mental pain?
Mental pain.
Mental pain.
Also, maybe he was a little bit scared of visiting because obviously EMDR allows you to revisit the
trauma.
Yeah, wherever, like especially torture,
Prison,
the cell as well.
Yeah, so it takes you right back to that. So you have to go right back to that moment.
Not really, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I don't know. He was anxious. I mean, I can't say.
Yeah.
And then he didn't like. Sometimes they don't like your fingers, and then especially we need to be a little bit careful. This is sitting position. Because we sit like I sit like that. So you need to a little bit we sit a little bit closer. So sometimes
they're not
we
keen
need to be a
on
little
that.
bit careful.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I felt a bit nervous now.
No, don't feel nervous at all. Don't feel nervous at all. This is great. This is really good. I'm understanding more than what I've ever understood. So that's really good.
So the safe place, I try to use safe place for everybody almost now, because safe place is really great. And then whenever they are very stressed out, outside during the daytime or in the night, so they can able to use the safe place to de-stress themselves.
So what is the safe place that they usually go to?
Safe place is basically again they follow our fingers a bit, but we ask them to remember or create imagine a place where you feel a bit peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common, usual places they found like beach.
Yeah.
Or in the forest and stuff, basically. And then when we ask them to look at around, and stay in the safe place, to look at around, smell and sounds like that. So basically they internalize the safe place instead of going, because flashbacks or intrusive memories always, take them back to the actual torture or ill treatment. So instead of they not everyone, but majority of them are able to control the intrusive flashbacks.
Wow, that's really powerful.
If they use the same place.
So is that like quite a common problem then? Is sort of like these intrusive thoughts and flashbacks? Do they sort of occur at any time? Are they regular? Are they
anytime?
Anytime.
That's why we call it PTSD. PTSD means mainly avoidance and also flashbacks and intrusive thoughts as well. So.
Wow. Okay. And is that usually sort of, and that would be relating to their torture, that these things just come back at any point, and then people have to cope with it.
Yeah.
So is that sort of another criteria for like people who are suitable for like EMDR? Is that if they're suffering from flashbacks and they don't know how to deal with it, is that sort of when you go, maybe this is for you?
Basically, EMDR is fast treatment.
Fast treatment. Ah, okay.
For those who suffers from PTSD.
Ah, okay.
But
so what's the difference?
Still there are people working on different difficulties.
Yeah.
And then I found it extremely helpful. And then really, I had a client, I've seen him quite a while, and we finished now, but when I started using EMDR, since we had the course here, and then from the beginning he was he responded to it very well. So and then I felt that we wouldn't be able to revisit if I didn't use EMDR.
Oh really?
Like he was taking me for MOX execution.
Oh wow.
And then he was kept in the sun, like in the hot weather. So
where is he from?
In Iran.
Iran.
Yeah. And then he really felt it. And then he had dry mouth, and then I gave him a cup of water, and then luckily on that day I had fresh mint and lemon water. It was lovely. So basically there was no emotion at all. So people very rarely they do emotion, but EMDR helps them to revisit whatever they enjoyed, and then also they see later on that it was in the past.
So it helps give that distance.
We from the beginning we asked them, what would you like to focus on today, for example, and then this client would say, I was in a very I had very bad week, because he was having problem in controlling his anger. But anger was really unconscious, so it was everything related to his torture. So anxiety, a big word, isn't it? But and then I usually ask him, what comes to your mind now, straight? So we start, and also lots of things to say.
That's all right.
We ask them. We rate what do you call it? Cognition, negative cognition and positive cognition. For example, negative cognition is basically you ask. So how do you feel? How do you feel when you remember this? He says, like I feel very quite common again. I feel very weak. Basically, because this remembering this make you weak, and then we ask them, how is it, how is it false or true, like between 1 and 7, and then he says like how true it is basically, and then our aim is to make to to come to the level of 7. Usually we stay there because 1 is it's true basically. But since when you spend time with the process, you see the improvements. So basically they revisit the room, or like the art that he was taking and stuff, and then later on he said like at the end of the session we check with how we scan the body as well.
Yeah, just making sure. Just checking the time. Okay. So you scan the body. So what, like for emotions and stuff, or like for feelings, or?
No, I mean when you remember bad memories, imagine yourself, and you feel you have some feelings to yourself, and then also your body makes some response as well.
Yeah.
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 Like people have headache and blurred eyes, and they can't hear sometimes, and they dry mouth, like pain, and then he had like dry mouth and also pain around wherever they are beating and stuff.
Yeah, all those memories come flooding back.
Is it all right?
Yeah. This is great. It's really interesting to hear about your experience.
Yeah. And this is called soothe, like so basically we check people's body. Yeah. Basically, what they call it, it's EMDR is a journey basically.
Okay.
It's sometimes you pass the dark channel.
Oh, okay. This makes sense. So it's sort of taking you through things. It's got to be quite hard. How is it like dealing with those memories? Because I mean, torture, I can only imagine what it does to have to go back to that, and then for yourself to watch people doing that. How does that make you feel? It's got to be quite a lot to take.
I mean, EMDR is much safer than the other approaches. I have a psychodynamic background, so
okay. So what are the other approaches? Are they?
It depends where you train, basically. So, I have also my main training is psychoanalytical psychodynamic, but also I studied cognitive analytical therapy as well. So there are different approaches. I mean, if you know a few approaches, you know what can be used sometimes during the session as well. So with this chap, for example, I used cognitive analytical therapy as well. So we used to draw. He likes drawing, so. And then so he was. This is his drawing.
Oh wow!
Is
that relating to? Is that axe on the tree stump relating to the mock execution?
No. This is basically. He says that the government tried to cut them, but
still they grow. The government tried to cut them down, but still they grow. That's quite impressive.
Hello. Sorry.
That's all right. And so you get them drawing as well. So you get
many drawings in his file.
Yeah. Does that help him?
It did help. So we finished. I completed this.
Oh, that's really good.
I believe. I can see the like he's able to control his anger now. He's much relaxed.
Yeah.
And then his sleeping is very good, and it was amazing. After a few EMDR sessions, he started having good dreams. You know, he brings his dreams as well. So we work in with dreams as well, you know, nightmares. I cannot tell you everything, but it was really interesting. I found it, you know, before EMDR, we used to sit and then he would, you know, like he would explore his feelings, you know, like whatever he remembers and stuff, or focus on specific detention, torture, you know. So, but with the EMDR, you are more focused from the beginning.
Okay.
And if when they find it very hard, for example, you see from their face, or he wanted to continue for a day, for example, and then we try them, you know, find a way to visit their safe place.
Yeah.
And in order to leave the room, you know, quite safely.
Yeah, that's got to be quite hard.
Yeah.
How does it feel though to see? That's got to be really rewarding when you start seeing someone make breakthroughs.
Yeah, it's lovely to see our clients. Yeah, this is the aim, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And yeah, it is very important them to have what I used the word that no one can change, and you know their wish is always that they want to go back to their life that before they had. But it's not possible. But what they learn during the therapy, it doesn't matter I am there, but what they learn that they are like recycling their own past and then produce new life.
That's a real nice way to put it. To recycle their past and produce some new life. How long have you been a therapist here?
Here, about 9 years.
Oh wow!
No, yeah, 9 almost.
Quite some time then. Have you seen? So we don't have to talk about EMDR. We can talk about any aspect of your work. But is it like a relatively new thing then?
EMDR?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had course here.
Ah, okay.
And I have another client. So my supervisor suggests me to write because at the end of each session she sings.
Wow.
So basically singing helps her a lot. Singing is part of the EMDR.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to put everything together, but it is, you know, I'm Turkish, by the way, so this is not my mother tongue, but maybe, do you understand what I say all the time?
Yeah, okay, I'm understanding. Yeah.
So basically, this is naturally, you know, came out because her story is horrific again. But she would cry all the time, very, very tearful. Now I don't see unnecessary tears anymore, I would say.
Yeah,
Because she used to cry a lot.
Yeah, was that sort of something that would just come out, just uncontrollable sort of emotion?
Yeah. So she hears voices. She used to hear voices, still hears a bit, but not much.
Is that from the trauma, or is that?
It is.
Wow, so you can get psychosis from trauma?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not really the organic one, you know, like, because people who are, it's very common. Trauma-related voices.
Wow.
It's very common. Because, they hear they are kept under torture and in the cell in unimaginable circumstances. Like they hear sometimes perpetrators, torture's voice. Quite common.
Oh, it's got to be awful.
Yeah, but I think it's very hard for you, but we get used to, of course, and then we know what is related to. And this woman, she hears also voice, 6-man voices, basically. The 6-man was the torturer.
Wow.
And then I did a lot of work before EMDR training.
Yeah.
But EMDR was, from the beginning, it started working because
Wow.
we worked all the time. I'm still doing some work on voices.
Wow. And
what happened? What was it? Our holiday scheme stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I made the referral for her to have a holiday, and then she, while I was filling the form, it was very interesting. While I was filling the form, that have you seen it? So there is a question about whether they can avoid, they like cat or dogs.
Oh, okay.
Basically, if they are, they don't want they look at because they can be scared or some allergic to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, she said to me, I don't mind dog, but cat. No, I don't want cat. And then on the second occasion, I said, what's happening? What is the cat about? And then all of a sudden, she remembered while we were filling the form, and she remembered one of her childhood memory. Her brother was killed, and then this is nothing to do with torture, but it is part of
yeah, just memories.
memory. And then because her brother was bite by
a cat.
And then we did this EMDR. Really, everything came out. She said, oh wow, this was happened 30 years ago. And
wow.
She was so amazed even, when because when they follow, fingers of the pulsars, so they go back to years back, basically.
Wow. That's impressive.
And then what happened? I don't know. Later on, I can't tell you how the singing thing started. She remembered later on their garden, their own garden, parent garden, and then they had all the trees, including mango trees. And she used to climb the mango and then would eat mango on top of it. And then she climbed the mango, trees. And then she said she feels free, obviously, because no one can touch her.
Yeah.
And then she starts singing there, and then since then she sings. Singing also gives, singing is really interesting thing, so your body becomes really sort of...
yeah, you have to breathe differently, don't you? And
I think it touches all your organs almost, isn't it, when you sing, if you love it, of course. Yeah, you ask me, sorry, I'm jumping from...
No, that's fine. I think that's really good. And understanding sort of a little bit more about the clients that you work with and the work that you do with them and how this works. It's really interesting. What's the most sort of, what's the most sort of frustrating, sort of challenging thing you can find with clients sometimes with this?
So the most challenging thing is when they are refused by the hormone, for example. or when they lose, when their appeal is dismissed, you know. It's really very hard to hold them.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to support them during this period, especially when the Home Office refuse them. You know, it's what they say. They are re-traumatized. Some of them, I have to say.
Yeah.
And it ruins our work.
Yeah.
It does.
So sort of you could be working with someone for how long? I mean, and then it could be just almost gone.
Yeah, I mean, we see them in 3 years.
Wow. And then they'll get a refusal. It can take 3 years.
I have clients that they have been here over 13 years,
still
being
waiting,
refused, and they made fresh applications. So.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very hard to see your client being refused. You know, like.
Because I mean, you must know that these people aren't making things up.
Yeah. No. Yeah, unfortunately, so majority of our clients being refused, and when they get asylum, if our like support really ongoing support and therapy works, you can see that how they are able to celebrate the good outcome. You see.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them are very badly damaged. You know, they are sometimes they are not able to celebrate the good news.
That's really sad that sort of they get to this thing, like, you know, this thing they've been waiting for, and then they can't celebrate. So does that sort of experience with the Home Office add to the trauma? Does it?
It's a bit complicated because it might be related to their childhood as well. So, like, because if they are stable, if they can see the future, because like their like torture can damage psychologically, as like they lose trust. It takes some time to digest, basically.
Yeah.
The good news, because like also torture. During torture, people are being waiting for years, for days. They don't know when they are going to be released and stuff. And then especially before taking to torture, what I hear from my client, that I know this for a long time, like what they say, like the worst thing is waiting to be tortured.
The worst thing is waiting because you know it's coming.
They lose the sense of the time. You don't know what time, they
Worst thing is waiting to be tortured. It's got to be awful to know that that's coming, and to just be sat in some awful limbo that you know something. What does that do to a person? That sort of, that expectation that you know, do you know what I mean? If something hurts you, and it hurts you once, you can kind of deal with it, to then go back and know that you're going to go through it again and again, but with that uncertainty. You know it's coming, but you don't know when. What must that do to your nerves? That's how...
So this Iranian man, he was very resourceful. Some people can be very resourceful from the beginning of their life. Because good parenting and stuff is very important. So he created many different ways. It's survival mechanism. He created fantasy world.
Wow.
I mean, he was able to manage to separate his brain, mind, and body. So this is an ability to be able to resist, basically.
Resist. So, is that something that you see often? Do people come up with coping mechanisms when they've been in torture to deal with it?
So yes. But the same person, sometimes, they cannot manage on a daily life.
Yeah.
But because they use their power, power.
That sort of survival instinct kicked in. What kind of things do people do? So you mentioned that he created like a fantasy world.
Yeah, singing. He was, reading poems and lovely stuff. So, it depends on the country, but the Iranian people, do read a lot of poems. And these are he brought here.
Oh wow!
This is the poem that he loved, and he brought it to me. This is the.
Wow. And so what, did he sort of remember that and recite it? Wow. That's amazing.
Like when he came to see me, he said he found it, and basically this represents him. And then from the beginning I said, we talk a lot about his thinking, head is a bit down, isn't it? So, and then we aimed to basically the guy a bit have a peaceful life and then head up.
And head up.
Yeah, and this is the latest one he brought.
To become more upward looking.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful, that's really poetic. Just to bring those things, that's quite amazing. Where did that go? Is that that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, I guess I never really thought about how people would deal with the trauma when they're going through it, but I guess when it's happening, you have to find a way to cope.
Yeah, it's quite common. Like people do create a fantasy world. If they can't, they can also collaborate with the torturers.
Collaborate.
They give them information.
Okay.
It is as a human,
Yeah. Oh my God.
Later on, they suffer more if they reveal things, and they suffer more again because they ask more information, more.
So because you've given one piece of information, they think they can get more out of you.
Yeah, this is the torture aim is to extract information, isn't it? So basically, this guy, I was so impressed that he created a fantasy world, basically. So in the cell, it was necessary in order to survive. So also he would read poems. He's very knowledgeable man, he would sing as well. So what else? He thought about that. Another common thing is that they think that their friends and their loved ones, that they say that loved ones say that resist stuff. So.
It's got to be so hard. I could never imagine it. It's always one of those things that you just can't quite envisage it happening here, I've always been like a political activist, and I'm lucky I was born here, because elsewhere, for being so outspoken, a whole manner of awful things could happen. My grandfather was an asylum seeker from Poland, after the Second World War. But he fought on the side of the British and refused to go home because the Soviets were saying, "Oh no, it's fine, no, come back," and he was like, "No, people that I know have gone missing." So, but you always sort of think, what people get tortured for things that we take for granted here. The right to protest, the right to criticise the government, and be a journalist, and be outspoken. And then it's got to be so brave to be able to sort of stand up and say no, and then know in some cases that you are putting yourself at risk of that.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, amazing stories we hear, you know, like amazingly they are coincidentally they survive as well.
Mm.
They could have die easily, you know, like especially during the EMDR, as I was telling you, know, like in the sun, that I really witnessed how he suffered, and we visited twice because he was taken out there a few times. You know, like another one was very interesting again. People shot, and then. But he was left, or a few people, because they are blindfolded, he doesn't see. And then he was, while he was taken back to his room, cell, he was shouting slogans, you see. Yeah, he shouted slogans here.
Wow.
This doesn't happen during the normal, other therapy. EMDR allows you something, so I loved it.
Wow.
I love it.
So he started shouting, what, like protests?
Yeah, I say to him, yeah, say what we don't like.
That's an amazing resilience of the human spirit. That's interesting. So it taps into other things then. That's incredible.
And also on one occasion he's seen the light in his cell again, like he started reading a poem. He said what he did at the time, like he said, so then good, peaceful, good days coming, and stuff like poems, like.
That's amazing. So they sort of can revisit it, and
yeah,
that's amazing. That sort of like strength that can come out.
So what happens when you revisit? Therapy is about basically. I mean, our therapy usually is about trauma focus. Like we revisit, of course. Like what happens when you talk about the effect, because our body carries that. Our brain and our body also, pain, what we call psychosomatic pain, like all the pain goes away and so on. So, and there is pain protocols what we use for EMDR approach also allowed you to work on pain as well, like
wow.
just you focus on pain. So generally, with our clients, pain usually related to torture, obviously. And I've seen many clients that I use it. So they started pain here, headache, shoulder, and rape client they have pain around here.
Because it all comes back, those memories.
Yeah.
Wow.
But once they talk and then they realize that they're not there anymore.
That's going to be quite a powerful thing, isn't it? I'm not there. Does that take some time to get there then? Are they able to get to that point where they realise it's okay? How long does that take? Or is that something that sometimes people flashback?
No, during one session. There is no flashbacks. Flashbacks is a defense.
Ah, okay.
There are ways to deal with flashbacks, and then also abbreviation as well. You don't see normally tears, but if there is, we let them to cry because they need to, because unresolved mourning, so you can see there. So what I was saying. I've forgotten, sorry. But it is interesting.
Yeah, you must have seen quite a lot here over 9 years. I imagine that you've seen quite an array of clients and sort of refused Home Office decisions and different governments in the other parts of the world, and I guess that's had an impact on the kind of things you've seen, I suppose.
Especially our role is, very, very important here. That there are many refugee organizations around, if they are refused during our time, here, it's very important so they feel like they are not alone, at least, and then they pass this painful process. I call it painful process, with the good support, at least.
Yeah, the asylum system sounds. I guess you must see it every day, and what does it do to people?
So we get angry as well, really helpless sometimes, but it's very important to support them really in a difficult time. Like I have a client, she's just been granted refugee status now.
That's good news.
It's pretty amazing for me. I feel really thrilled. So when she got refused, I'm not doing EMDR for yet, but I will do. And she was really, really traumatized. And she has 3 children in her country, in DRC. No, sorry, Rwanda. And they are in the boarding school. And she hasn't seen her children over 3 years now, or more than 3 years now. And then she was refused. So it was really hard. I called her on numbers of occasions to make sure that she comes here, because she couldn't come even. She was so upset. And then now she's got refugee status, thank God. Very recently she's got, she hasn't received her card yet. But I cannot imagine Claudine, her name is, without our support. She could have easily harmed herself.
Oh, because of those sort of refusals and that horrible system.
Yeah.
That's so awful, isn't it? Because there's only, we only get to see such a small amount of people here that are within remit, There's more that are within remit that we just can't see. What must it be like for them to negotiate the asylum system? Is it quite complex? Do you see all the difficult parts of it?
Yeah. I mean, there are many people, obviously. We need more organizations. Yeah, is there anything else?
No. This was so interesting.
Really? Was that
so interesting? Like, just to understand, how clients cope with things, why you get to that stage. Your experience of seeing what the Home Office can do to people, or that that ability to help people and make breakthroughs, and it's quite amazing. Like on the top floor, we're fiddling with buttons and donation pages and bits and
that's
pieces.
what you do. Thank you very much. Brilliant job what you do. And then of course I see how hard working people upstairs. And
it's the job that you guys do though. It's amazing. Like what you actually do to help people, which is why we want so badly to help, because it's incredible the work that's done here, and I'm still quite new, so I'm still getting to know bits and pieces about the organisation. I've met Funda and like Clarissa and sort of Patrick and Zora, but I'm still getting to know people, and there's so many different elements to what we do, and everybody's got such different interesting backgrounds. And there's so many things that actually, I used to work at Amnesty.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, so but very much, I come from a human rights background, and I've always volunteered with human rights organisations. But you hear a lot about what torture is, not what torture does, and how people get through it. That's not a story you hear very often in places like Amnesty. You hear more about, this government's torturing people, we must stop it. You don't hear about the individual experience of that person and what they went through and how how resourceful they could be to get through it. That was absolutely fascinating. I had no idea that people would come up with, you know, ways to deal with it. It's an absolutely amazing bit of information. I had no idea.
So, I think you got the sense that it's very hard to put everything together, isn't it? I found it very hard, although I'm working.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
My main, each therapist's interests are different, but my interest is, of course, our aim is always to have to recover, but recover, so basically, there's no full recovery anyway, so it's also therapy helps you to accept what happened to you.
Yeah, acceptance.
Also, my interest is in, people are very angry. Anger, so there are, as a human, we find a way to keep our anger and express our anger, rageful feelings as well, so, revengeful, so basically, because it is, and usually clients try, it happens to, I work with domestic violence survivors as well,
Okay.
so they usually question the torture, perpetrators, why he did this, how can he did this, I always say that if you if you question the perpetrators, you won't go nowhere. Okay, this is from the beginning. So, and I repeat the human rights, the act.
Yeah, the Human Rights Act.
Number 5. No one has right to persecute you. Remember?
I don't remember.
13.
Yeah, I remember there's 13. I don't remember what they are.
And then I found it very helpful.
No one has the right. Yeah, and that's from the Human Rights Act.
Yeah. The Human Rights Declaration.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yeah.
The number 5.
What is it? Oh, I'm sure I can find it.
I sometimes print it out for my clients.
Just to remind them of what their rights and their...
It helps a lot.
Does it?
It does. Because, torture makes you very small, so they think that, they are not humans, basically.
Wow. And that... So what the rights help give them, and reclaim their status?
Some of them realize that they are human, basically, human being.
Wow. Because you can read them their human rights. You're like, no, you are a human. No one had the right.
What I say, I read this from a printer, print. Have you seen it?
Yeah, no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment or punishment.
And then, so basically, what I say, whatever happened to you, what they've done to you, a crime, and then, so there's no justification for it.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's a really...
Maybe we can do something about this, because...
I think that is really interesting, that whole trying to help people reclaim their rights and it giving them peace of mind is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. That's something that it sort of ties in everything that you think about, and you think about this organisation, therapeutic organisation, but also human rights. That quote, what you just said, just ties it all up. That's something really interesting. I think that's really interesting. I'm conscious of time, but we can always chat again at another 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 always chat again at another